Well, for more on trade and investment ties between the two countries, we are joined now by Edmund Gha-reeb, the scholar and specialist in Middle East affairs. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
What kind of investment opportunities will there be for China in each of the 7 emirates?
Well, there is no doubt that China has had close ties, commercial ties, trade ties, whereby there is going to be a great deal of focus in the area of construction. There will be also in the area of technology, of finance, of economic development, of also education, and of course, on top of everything else, of course, would be the upstream energy agreements, where there have been a number of agreements between the two sides. There are also, like last year, there were a number of companies who got 10% of offshore oil drilling near Abu Dhabi, and this year there are also another concern got something like 12%. So there are a number of areas where the two countries are working together and are likely to develop. It was interesting you pointed out, or it was pointed out to the article which was published by President Xi in one of the local papers. One of the important things that he brought out, which was I thought was interesting, that this relationship is not a new relationship. It goes back actually over 2,000 years in a sense. And around the 7th century, that's when they began to use the sea route actually. Paper, porcelain, made it to Europe actually through the Arab world. And so there were close trading relationship between China and the Arab world. And while at the same time that President Xi in his article focused a great deal about the relationship with the United Arab Emirates, with Dubai and Abu Dhabi. By the way, there's going to be also a town, Chinatown in Dubai. But he also pointed out to this similarity and this old relationship. And he's hoping that also this will be a continuation. The Chinese initiative of one belt, one road will also be a very important aspect.
So you mentioned old relationship. This is far more than transactional. This relationship actually dates back to centuries, to the porcelain and pearl trade era in the 7th century. But energy, in fact, is something that they're looking to secure. How important is this for China?
I think this is very important for China. I mean, it's important because China is one of the, it's going to be, if not the first, the second largest economy in the world, and it's going to continue to grow. They need energy, and that's why, in fact, the policies that are being pursued, not only in the Gulf, but also in Africa. You find close relations with countries which are producing gas and oil in Africa.
How big of a role will the UAE play in China's Belt and Road Initiative?
I think they will play a very important role. UAE, as you know, is the second largest economy in the Gulf. It's trying to assert itself. It's trying to play a much larger role in the region, and that's why they will agree and cooperate in a number of areas. You actually pointed, for example, to the tourism, which has really increased tremendously in the last year or so. There are also people-to-people relationships. Amar, which is also one of the large UAE construction firms, is going to be building its signature hotels, top-notch hotels addressed in a number of cities in China.
Can they keep up the pace, Edmund? We have some numbers that says the UAE and China's commercial exchange for the first half of 2017 reached 20 billion. 13 billion accounted for Chinese exports. Can they keep up with this pace for 2018?
Yeah, I think it's likely to continue because what we are seeing in the area is the UAE has the resources and it's continuing on the path of development. And this is an area where China could play an important role and contribute a great deal. So we are likely, at least for the next few years and maybe even a decade or so, we're likely to see an increase in this kind of cooperation. And what's interesting, again, what has been mentioned by both sides, there's the idea of a common philosophy toward, while economic development, they have similar philosophies, while the two countries are a little bit different and they're very far from each other. Nevertheless, they are both, as President Xi said, hardworking, and they have a common philosophy on development, and that's going to help both sides in this field.
Do the Chinese have a difficult time investing in Africa? Are there significant roadblocks here?
There are. So when it comes to Africa, I think that's another very important area. What we are seeing is that China has emerged as a major player. You have probably over 1 million Chinese working in Africa. There are a lot of investments, economic investments. There is economic development. And there's another new area that now we're beginning to see, and this is what they call the blue economy, focusing on lakes, on rivers, on oceans to try to develop and to benefit the people of that area, and to, of course, to benefit China. There's no doubt that there are some hurdles. One of them, actually, since there is also going to be the meeting of the BRICS, one of the main objectives of the BRICS countries, which are the emerging powers, economic powers, is that they want to make sure that protectionism and unilateralism are not going to be continue. And so, to a certain extent, this is going to be one of the challenges where we're likely to see competition between the BRICS, France on the United States, Britain, in that area.
All righty. Well, Edmund Gha-reeb, thank you so much. Wonderful to see you as always.
Thank you. Good to see you.